Well, hey guys, this is Matt with 42 Pros, and in this video for 120 Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the basics of astrophotography time-lapse. Welcome back to 42 Pros, and today we're kicking off a new series called 120 Wednesday, where we take 120 seconds or 2 minutes of your time and hopefully either teach you something new or just refresh your memory on something you may already know. So just to get started, here's some of the gear that you'll need. A camera with a wide angle lens, 28mm or wider, with an f-stop of f4 or better, but that's not a requirement. A camera that has an intervalometer built in, or a camera that you can plug an intervalometer into so you can control all your settings. Also, you'll need a tripod and you'll need a calculator because yes, we'll have to do some math, okay? We're gonna be using the rule of 500, and that simply means that if you have a 15mm on a full frame body like an A7 III or something similar, then you will take 500 divided by the 15, and that will give you the results of your exposure time. So the calculation there will give you 33. Okay, 500 divided by 15 will be 33. Now, if you have a APS-C camera or a Micro Four Thirds, then you will need to first multiply your crop factor by your focal length, then take that number and divide it into the 500. Now, I know it's a lot of math. Some of you guys are not math majors, definitely not me, but I'll give you all the calculations down in the description below, so don't worry about that. Well, before we get started, we're gonna have to put that 2 minutes on the clock, and let's see if I can get all this information out within those 2 minutes. Are you ready? Let's go. First things first, we'll need to move that camera over into manual mode. Next, get on that aperture ring and let's crank that thing open as wide as we possibly can. For me, it was an f2. And then we need to refer back to our rule of 500 calculations so we can set our shutter speed. Now it's time to crank up the ISO ever so slightly. I usually start between 1600 and 2500 on the ISO. Then we'll start taking a couple of sample photos, okay, for two things. Number one, we're gonna check our focus because we have to keep it in focus in order to get a good time lapse. And number two, we're gonna double check our exposure just to make sure everything looks pristine and we're not adding too much noise into the photos with our ISO and whatnot. Now that we have all those settings locked into place, we get to calculate our interval. So what I recommend is to do a very tight interval. Mine was 5 seconds, so a total of 25 seconds between first photo and the next photo, okay? But for general purposes, if you're taking one photo every 20 to 25 seconds, if you wait 3 hours, you'll have a fairly good time lapse. All right, so everything is done, the time lapse is complete, everything's in focus, and now you have finished all of your editing in Lightroom, and now it's time to put it in movie form and finish this time lapse. So we open up our software, we import all of our photos into our event or sequence or project or bin or whatever you want to call it, depending on what software you have, and then we add them into our project. Now for this example, I had a 4K project at 24 frames a second. Once I had all the photos in there, then I selected them all, and then I changed their duration from whatever the default was down to 1 frame. And the reason why I went down to 1 frame is because if you think about movies, you have 24 frames a second, 30 frames, 60, blah, 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 blah. And each frame is like one picture, basically. So if you want to do a duration of 2 or 3 seconds, you can do that, but your time lapse will not be as smooth. So if you change it to 1 frame for each photo, then you'll have the smoothest looking time lapse that you could possibly get. And for this example, this is what it turned out to be. It's not too bad. I'm actually in the process of getting one of these frames printed off on a very, very large print because I was pretty proud of what I was able to capture through the night with this time lapse. But that's all we have for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, but just remember, be sure to get the gears right for you because only you can do your projects. And since we usually only have one chance to get it right, why not do it right and do it once? Till next time, guys.